Okay, so if I give you there's your decimal. Okay, and I want you to read that out loud to me. Okay, hang on. Oh, no, stop. Okay, so I want you to think about it. Think about how you would read it out loud, and once you have an answer, put your thumb up. Think about how you would read that decimal out loud. All right, Ania, read that out loud to us. 5,300. No. Izzy? 53 and 715 thousandths. How do you know it's thousandths? How do you know it's thousandths, Madison?
Because it's behind the decimal and it's the 10 and thousand.
You have 3 spots after your decimal place, so you know that last number is your thousandths place. Okay, so real quick, when you read and write a decimal, whole number first. What do we say for in place of our decimal? And. Then you read your entire decimal, and then you do your last place value, which in this case is thousandths. Okay, so we are. Yes.
Can I be Nick for just a minute?
Yes. So we're going to talk about writing decimals in expanded form today. So what does the word expand mean? Blaine, what does the word expand mean?
It means to break down your numbers into smaller.
Okay, so we're breaking apart our numbers. Okay? So we're going to do this in a couple of different ways today because I think it's important that you know how to break it down in decimal form, and it's important that you know how to break it down in fraction form as well. Okay? So if you'll look at your paper, okay, where it says writing decimals. Okay, so everybody look at that. Don't look at me, look at your paper. Okay, so where it says writing decimals in expanded form. So that shows you how to break it down using fractions. Okay, that shows you how to break it down using fractions. So it gives you that number. Okay, so there's our decimal. How would I read that? Alyssa, how would I read that? 24 and 685 thousandths. That's right. All right, now to break it down, we break each individual piece down. Now I'm going to try not to lose you. Okay, so when you do it in fraction form, so we're going to start here with our 2. What place value is that 2? 10. So it becomes 2 times 10, which is the same thing as what? 20. Okay? This piece, okay? It's a 4. What place is that in?
The ones.
The ones place. So it becomes 4 times 1, which is what? 4. Okay? Now, here's our decimal. Now, everything after the decimal will be multiplied by a fraction. Okay? So if you look at the bottom of that, everybody see those fractions down at the bottom? Okay, so you can mark out 10 thousandths because we're not going that far. We're just going to thousandths. Okay, so you can mark out 10 thousandths. So if you have tenths, so this is my tenths place. The 6 is in my tenths place. What do I multiply it by? Because it says tenths equals what fraction?
6 times.
So this one since it is my tenths place, 6 times 1/10, which is the same thing as 0.6.
Do we have to do it this way?
You got to do it both ways, yes. Okay? Now, let's move on to our 8. What place is the 8 in? The hundredths place. So look at your paper. What is the fraction for hundredths place? 1 over 100. So this becomes 8 times 1 over 100, or 0.08. Okay? You still with me so far?
Yeah.
Okay. Last one. My 5 is in my what place? Thousandths place. Look at your paper. What does the fraction look like for thousandths place?
1 over 1,000.
So this one becomes 5 times 1 over 1,000, and that is the same thing, 0.005. Okay. Then you add it all together and you get that. So let's do it. I'm going to show you both ways, okay? So that looks like a hot mess. So we're going to do it. All right. So number 24.685. That's our number, right? Okay. So we're going to do with the fractions first. What number is this? 2. What place is it in?
10.
So that means you multiply it times 10. Plus, if you want to put parentheses around that so it's easier to, so it's not as like jumbled together, that's fine. Okay, so there's our 2. So I'm going to mark my 2 out because I'm done with that.
Now 4.
Now I need to move on to my 4. 4 times what place?
1.
1. Plus, mark my 4 out. I'm done with my 4. Now move on to my 6. 6 times what place is that in?
The 10th.
Tenths.
So 1
So 1/10. Now I'll move on to my 8. 8 times what place?
100.
Hundredths. So 1/100.
Mark out the 8.
Mark out my 8. Now last but not least, 5 times
1,000.
1,000. That is expanded form. One version of expanded form. Okay? So that's one version of expanded form. It's kind of a lot. Looks like a lot. Looks like a hot mess. This is what G6 in your IXL, this is what this is. Okay? So you have to be able to look at these and tell what these numbers are.
There's so many numbers.
Okay? Now, let's look at a little easier version.
So this is easier?
This version to me is easier, yes. 24.685. So we're still using the same number. Now, all we're doing here is we're just going to break this number apart, but we're going to keep everything as decimals.
Oh!
Okay?
Yeah, like this.
So, what if I break this number down? Okay, just like, think about partial products. Okay, when we had partial products, we have 24. How do I break that down?
Do 20 and 4.
Into 20 plus 4. Remember that? Okay, so 20 plus 4. Plus, then I have to break down my decimal. So my 6 is 0.6. My 8, 0.08. And my 5, 0.005. Okay?
Whoa.
So, that's 2 ways. Okay, so we have 2 ways that we're going to have to do it because your work, one way is this way, and then your other page is with the fractions. Okay, now the fractions, you just have to look at it and tell me what it means.
What in the world?
Okay? All right.
Oh, that's pretty easy.
Okay.
So
Okay, so let's look at that next slide on your paper. So we have two examples. Okay, so it says write each decimal in expanded form. Okay, so I'm going to do the first one. So we have 43.204. How would I read that like we learned yesterday?
43 and 204
Thousands, that's right. 43 and 204 thousandths. So I'm going to write it using just the decimals first, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to write it using the fractions. Okay, so you write what I write on your paper. Okay, so I know I break down 43 into 40 plus 3, and then I have to break down my decimal part into my 3 decimals. So I have 0.2 plus 0.0. Nope.
It's just zero.
I had a brain fart. That's
It's
a
just
0.
zero.
So I go straight to 0.004. This is a 0. Do I have to put plus 0?
No.
No, because you know that doesn't do anything, right? Okay. So there is just the decimals. So now let's look at it with the fractions in there. So I have my 4 times 10. Yes.
Can you send your attendance and lunch count down on those stick notes?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Go pick someone.
The office. All right. So 4 times 10 gives me 40. Plus, now I have 3, which is in my ones place. 3 times 1. Now I have my 2. 2 times 1/10, because that is in the tenths place. I don't have to do my 0. And then last, I have 4 times 1,000. So there's my 2 ways.
So we have to write on both.
You have to write them both, yes. Okay?
On the sheet.
Yes, on your sheet. Okay? All right, anybody have any questions? Okay.